host WelfareFish, and welcome back to Darwin Alert. What's Darwin Alert? Your weekly, daily, whatever it needs to be, Darwin Project news show where we talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly going on within the Darwin Project community. I would have done the whole high-pitched Jimmy voice this week, but I got a little bit of a sore throat, so we're going to save that for, next week. We'll bring it back. Don't worry. Today we have one massive story to cover. The Darwin community has shattered. It's broken. It's snapped. It's done, it's dead, whatever you want to call it, however you want to put it, things aren't looking good. That's what we're getting at today. Grab your warm coffees and let's get into it, because it's all a lot. Yesterday, April 25th, the final qualifiers are set to take place for both consoles. The Xbox qualifiers seem to be having some issues starting just like they did during the third round of qualifiers. All of a sudden, the Xb1 Coliseum Discord server, which is where the qualifiers were being held, was deleted. After the Discord server was deleted, people on that server went to the official Darwin Project Discord and they began to spam, almost starting a riot of sorts. They were spamming an assortment of things such as Scav is lazy, Darwin is dead, revert, host your own tourney, hashtag revert Darwin, and the word code. After a certain point, everyone's access in the channel was revoked and you couldn't type in actually any channel there in the Darwin Project Discord, and all of the spam messages were deleted. After all this happened, I reached out to some of the admin members of the Xb1 Coliseum Discord server, hoping to get more information on how everything happened. I first reached out to Pimp My Xbox1, or Pimped, on Discord. He had this to say. And this is a long one. A lot of these quotes today are long, so just stay with me, guys. There's a lot to cover here. Quote, I've been the one who has hosted or helped almost every single community event since Scav canceled top 100s, but a small handful that was done by a few others like RBD Resin, Seawaddle, or Casper. People don't realize how much time and preparation actually go into organizing and hosting an event, and how much stress comes out of them. Fluffy made the Discord Xb1 Coliseum with the hopes of running the qualifiers for Scav until he saw how overwhelming it could get. We were only just opening check-ins for the second qualifier when he was so overcome with stress that he disappeared and left the rest of the server admins completely in the dark. Bowie, or Barry, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, I'm sorry, and myself stepped up and took over things in order to save the event, which was only half the size of the third and fourth, and also ran the third qualifier, then started to host this fourth one with the help of Azurite and a little help from Couch. Without proper help, the stress of organizing it all and fixing the mistakes everyone made when signing up while answering so many DMs and pings drove the admins to handling it poorly and deleting the server. I don't agree with the way it was handled. It screws over the people that did do everything correctly and were there on time to play. I do feel bad and genuinely apologize to the whole community that it went down this way. That being said, there isn't really any incentive to take over hosting all of the large, stressful qualifier events. The third and fourth having nearly 200 registrations, only for Scav to swoop in and host a 20-person final event that everyone will want to watch. There are a number of players who are appreciative and express that in private messages to us how happy they are we were able to squeeze them in somewhere at the last minute, or how much fun they had playing, and that's what kept us going for some time. Sadly, though, the larger portion of the community that participated only made hosting these events harder and more stressful than they needed to be, by spamming chats and acting toxic towards each other, and to us while appreciating nothing. At the end of the day, there is just nothing you stand to gain from hosting events other than to grow a sub-community on Discord. I hardly even play the game since they released this update. Most of the community aren't happy with and hardly even play anymore. Unquote. After his initial statement, he then proceeded to talk to me a little bit more, and we had a little bit of a conversation that went a little bit like this. Pimped. The devs aren't available during these events, even when the spreadsheet they give us doesn't work properly. WelfareFish. So wait, the devs just leave you guys to completely fend for yourselves? Pimped. Entirely. If the spreadsheet goes down, whether because of user error or technical glitch, it's on us to figure out how to fix things or how to proceed until someone does reply to us. We can't defer to their judgment on any issue that would arise. We didn't even have official rules from them to enforce during these. We got together and collectively agreed upon what we thought was the most fair for the player while still being fun for the spectators and director. WelfareFish. So there wasn't even official rules established? Pimped. I had more pings and DMs than I could answer and look into, literally. No, only the ones set by us. WelfareFish. Wow, I really appreciate you reaching out. Is there anything else you would like to say? Pimped. I honestly love this community and consider many of them actual friends. I understand the dev team is small and therefore limited in what they're able to do. I'm not expecting any compensation for running their events, but the smallest bit of appreciation and support from them for and during the event would have made all the difference to me, at least. I thank them for creating the game they did. It has been by far the game I've put the most hours on, by far, and wish they would have kept more elements from the early access version than what they did, but understand them wanting to appeal to a larger audience and don't fault them for it. From Pimp's statement, there is a lot to take away, and I mean a lot, you guys. The fact that Scav isn't around during these qualifiers, that there aren't official rules for the matches, the spreadsheet doesn't work, etc. But I think the biggest takeaway is the fact that he acknowledges that deleting the server wasn't the best play from the admins of the Xbox Coliseum Discord server. It just kind of happened due to a buildup of stress and tension. After talking to Pimped, another one of Xbox Coliseum's admins, Bowie, or Barry, as we mentioned earlier, reached out to me on Twitter. They had this to say, quote, "I haven't enjoyed Darwin for a while now and haven't even played in 2+ weeks. I have no incentive to. That being said, I did tell Martine that I would host, and the agreement was that we would host and he'd be there to help. You can ask my team and the team from Xbox One Competitive. Scav has done nothing to help in any situation. This is the third one in a row that we have hosted, and yes, they have their hiccups and setbacks, but nothing has been nearly as toxic as this time. We are trying our best to get everything going smoothly, and the first game is always the slowest to get started due to having to take out names of people who haven't checked in. We had enough of the toxicity and the stress, with really nothing to gain from it, and I say, no help from Scav. Yes, maybe the decision to delete the server was one made purely out of emotion, and I apologize to the people who weren't being toxic, but in the moment I had reached my breaking point." Unquote. I then proceeded to ask him one more question just to clear something up that had been on my mind personally, since I had already gotten most of the info from Pimped. I asked, "Bowie, thanks. I appreciate this and I appreciate you reaching out. I'm going to make sure that people know what's been going on. I do have one question though. So to be clear, you guys didn't plan to storm Darwin in general, being on the official Darwin Project Discord, of course. It just kind of happened, correct?" He then responded, "Yes, it just kind of happened. The Xbox competitive server was being spammed, and I'm pretty sure their mods told them to complain to Scav, not them. It just kind of happened." Bowie's statement reinforces what most of what Pimped had told me beforehand. The Xbox side of things was sick of the stress and toxicity they were receiving, and they reacted. Their reaction may not have been the best option, but after everything that had been happening, the group just kind of snapped, and we're done with it. I then reached out to one last person for a statement. I wanted to get another perspective, another side on this. I reached out to Martine. Yes, Martine, as in the one that works at Scavengers Studio. The statement turned into more of a conversation, which went a little bit like this, and I think it's interesting, so just stay with me. WelfareFish. "Hey there, Martine. Any comments on what happened to the Xbox One Coliseum Discord server and what happened to the Darwin Project Discord? Thanks." Martine. "Hey Welfare, I don't have much comments. I trusted Bowie to manage and organize the 4th qualifier, as he assured me he could handle it, and as he did twice already in the past. But it seems that he snapped and deleted the server right after the first match. Following this, a lot of people started to spam the official server and got banned, only for the spam and not for what they were talking about." WelfareFish. "Okay, good to know. Thank you for responding." Martine. "No worries. Do you have any other question? I noticed Pimp messages about the way we were managed the events. Is there anything else I could help you with about this topic?" WelfareFish. "Pimped had reached out to me. He said that none of Scav's staff is actually around during the events and that the spreadsheet doesn't work properly. He also said that there wasn't official rules established for the qualifiers as well. The other thing he said was how all the sub-communities are doing all the work and then you, meaning Scav, get to profit off the smaller, easier to run event. And I was just wondering, what was the idea behind letting the community run the events?" Sorry, I know that was a lot. Martine then answered all the topics I just brought up. Every single one I was about to break down here, but he broke it down little by little, so we're going to kind of cover some bases here. Martine. "No worries, I'm glad to answer. Let's answer step by steps." And then he goes back to begin quoting me. He said that none of Scav staff is actually around during the events and that the spreadsheet doesn't work properly. Indeed, it was mentioned when I reached out to each organizer that as the qualifiers are running during the weekend when I'm not working to make sure more players can participate, I won't be available to assist. I try to be around anyway when I can, but also have a few personal things to do. Sometimes I can't answer to DMs. And indeed, we have had some issues with the spreadsheet. We tried several things to fix them, but at some point all organizers knew how to fix them thanks to the awesome help of the people from DPL, talking about Darwin Pro League. It seems to be working smoothly anyway. He also said there wasn't official rules established for the qualifiers as well. Indeed, as the rules were the same as the old Top 100, this was mentioned to all organizers initially as well. Darwin Project is quite a simple game, except the no smurfs, no cheat, no exploit basic rules. We never needed something else than that. It's not such a big event that it has to be done. And it has to be done fast to ensure offering an incentive to competitive players who are requesting something to do. With no real money involved, we never needed extended rules. The other thing he said was how all the sub-communities are doing all the work, and then you meaning Scav, get the profit off the smaller, easier to run event, and I was just wondering, what was the idea behind letting the community run the events? And this is where I think it gets a little interesting, guys. Yes, the objectives of the qualifiers were to make different sub-communities running them entirely. The goals are pretty simple. First, without the sub-communities, we wouldn't be able to have any competitive event running at all. Second, we want to promote sub-competitive communities as well, and it was a great thing to promote it that way by showing off their work on an actual event. It's quite a usual esport format now to let the sub-communities organize the qualifiers and smaller events. The final event is handled by us not because it's smaller, but because we wanted to make it more official for everyone and reward the top players of the first season. Other bigger games are doing something similar, such as Rainbow Six Siege, for which the sub-communities are also organizing the qualifiers, of course. As they are way bigger than us, it's definitely not the same scale, but we tried to do something that would fit our size and still offer a good experience for all comp players. And that's what Martine said. That's the last statement I have, so we talked to Pimped, to Bowie, and to Martine. And you can see, as after reading these statements, I understand where the admins of the Xbox1 Coliseum were coming from, and why they deleted the server. I get it, it makes sense. But at the same time, deleting the entire Discord server, I don't think was the right option. Deleting the server was an emotional option, as Bowie mentioned above. And yeah, it was like the nuclear option. It was, you do it, this gets rid of it, all of it, no one has to worry about anything. But Scav, of course, isn't without fault either. When you read or listen to what Martine said, it makes sense, it really does, and I understand the standpoint that Scav is coming from and the standpoint they're taking on a lot of the things that I asked him about. But someone from Scav should be around during these events. There should be a working spreadsheet that doesn't have to have issues fixed by one of the other sub-communities to then know how it runs, as Martine mentioned, if that's even the case. There should be official rules to this, like official stated rules that go on, and these sub-communities should have had a bit more help to run these events, especially ones that aren't Darwin Pro League, that have been doing scrims and everything like this since the game's early access. Scav should have at the very least been in the Discord servers for these events. As you're seeing on screen right now, these are the type of things that were said in the Xbox One Discord on a daily basis. Blatant racism and offensive remarks. Things like the N-word and etc. as you guys are seeing on screen. It's just, yeah, this was happening in the Xbox One Coliseum Discord. One of the admins I even talked to, Bowie, even had the Discord role of Grand Wizard, referring to the Grand Wizard of the KKK. These people were admins or just active people in the server, and this happened constantly. This server was the face of the Xbox One competitive Darwin community, and this is what was happening. So every time all these new people were coming in to go ahead and qualify and do their qualifiers, this is what they were seeing beforehand, this is what was going on, talking about pooling IPs, about, the N-word, other offensive things that I'm not going to repeat because I'm not going to do it. So yeah, who's at fault? Both parties. I'm not going to pick a side. I can see Scav's standpoint, I can see Xbox One Coliseum's standpoint, and neither side is in the right. They both did things that are wrong, and now an entire competitive group is screwed over. An entire 1/3 of the competitive scene is screwed over. That choice is really on you to make. Who do you guys want to choose to blame? Both Scav and the Coliseum did things wrong, and the community used the moment to break and cause chaos. I do want to say one more thing before I go, and I hope that people are listening and that this gets spread around. Scav. Anybody at Scav, Martine, whoever else, please start communicating with us. Just be transparent on what's going on with you all at the studio. Whether you guys are stuck at home or whatever, let us know what's going on. There doesn't have to be some update or new news attached every time whenever you all speak. The community is fed up with the silence, and honestly I am too. Being able to chat with Martine and get his perspective on things made me less angry at Scav in general. Just being able to talk with someone and have that open dialogue. And I get with the way people were acting yesterday in the Darwin general, you can't really do that, I understand. I think it'd be really cool to at least have something like Bungie's This Week at Bungie article, but for Darwin. Something along those lines, maybe anything, like a YouTube video or just something, anything to communicate with us. But please just start talking, because the silence isn't working anymore. even if it's just hate towards you guys that's going on and you don't want to respond to it, it's not working anymore. But yeah, after going through all that, we reached the end of today's Darwin Alert. As more news comes out, you'll be sure to hear about it here. I apologize if it was a little spotty. Again, some of these quotes are large to where Pimped literally took up an entire 2 pages, and I did my best. I hope you guys enjoy it. But until next time, I've been your host, WelfareFish, and craft a campfire.